BitTorrent, presented by Jonathan Boston, Jordan Bethel, Adam Hain, Tyler Horn, Cullen Malone, Emily Tarp, and Shalene Thomas.
What is BitTorrent? BitTorrent is a communication protocol for peer-to-peer file sharing, which is used to distribute data, electronic files, over the internet. How BitTorrent works. Whenever you download a web page, your computer connects to the web server and downloads the data directly from that server. If you look to the top photo to the right, you would get an idea of what that is. BitTorrent works differently. The peer-to-peer protocol means that the computers in a BitTorrent swarm, which is a group of computers downloading and uploading the same torrent, transfer data between each other without the need for a central server. If you look to the bottom picture to the right, you will see that. In order for a computer to join a BitTorrent swarm, a computer must load a .torrent file to the BitTorrent client. The BitTorrent client contacts a tracker, which is a special server that shares your IP addresses, and the torrent file that keeps track of the computers connected. When connected, a client downloads bits and pieces of the files in the torrent. Once the client has some data, it then begins to upload that data to other clients that are connected. In short, everyone that is downloading a torrent is also uploading a torrent, which helps the download for everyone to speed up and run more efficiently. For example, if 10,000 people are downloading the same file, it does not put a whole lot of stress on the server, as one might think. In fact, each person downloading contributes bandwidth to other downloaders that makes the torrent run fast. Users downloading from a BitTorrent swarm are referred to as leechers or peers. Users that remain connected to a swarm even after they have downloaded the complete file are called seeders because they are contributing their upload bandwidth so other people can continue to download the file. In order for a file to be downloaded, a person who has a complete copy of the file must join the swarm, which is a seeder, so others can download the file. If no one has the complete file, it will not be possible to download. Justin Sun, the CEO of non-profit blockchain technology company Tron, purchased the peer-to-peer protocol in June of 2018. Justin bought the BitTorrent network to put on Tron's blockchain technology to create a decentralized content distribution platform for a global user base. The idea of putting this network on blockchain creates a more fair and efficient means for users to create, store, and distribute content. If Tron is successful, it will eliminate the need for centralized platforms like Netflix, iTunes Store, and large corporations that charge creators and users. The decentralized platform will be run by those who populate the marketplace. This project is called Project Atlas. How it will work. BitTorrent has always had an incentive model built into it. Now users will be compensated with TRX cryptocurrency coins for participating and contributing during torrents. Anyone who contributes content is entitled to profits of fair value. Instead of extracting value from creators and users, the Tron protocol fairly distributes value to users so a content ecology can evolve. Users of the network will be able to use the coins for faster downloads by bidding with TRX coins and offer TRX coins as an incentive for other users to run clients on faster networks and to seed torrents for more extended periods of time. The quote below is the vision of the CEO, Justin Sun, of what he wants this project to accomplish. It reads, Project Atlas is a foundation for a new way of content distribution. To start, the product will feature faster downloads, more seeds, no mining, and backward compatibility. It is adapted to the world we live in today, which is mobile, connected, and transparent. We aim to eventually empower all content creators and their communities by eliminating the middleman and enabling content creators to distribute directly to users.
BitTorrent history. Initially released on July 2, 2001, about 17 years ago. Original author of BitTorrent is Bram Cohen. He designed the protocol in April 2001. BitTorrent is now maintained by the Cohen's company BitTorrent Inc. Written in Python and is a free software, enables users to search and download torrent files. It is a communication protocol for peer-to-peer file sharing which is used to distribute data and electronic files over the Internet. Continuation of BitTorrent history. It is one of the most common protocols for transferring files, such as digital video files containing TV shows, video clips, or digital audio files containing songs. BitTorrent is a computer program that implements the BitTorrent protocol, currently available for Microsoft Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android operating system. It is an ad-supported freemium product that is available in 66 languages. Time development of BitTorrent. April 2001. BitTorrent protocol was designed by Bram Cohen, a former student at Buffalo University. July 2, 2001, BitTorrent released the first available version. February 2009, BitTorrent peer-to-peer networks have been estimated to collectively account for approximately 43 to 70% of all Internet traffic, depending on location. February 2013, responsible for 3.35% of all worldwide bandwidth, more than half of 6% of total bandwidth dedicated to file sharing. January 2012, utilized by 150 million active users, estimated users more than quarter of a billion. 2013, most recent version was released and has 15 to 17 concurrent users at any time.
The next topic we're going to cover regarding BitTorrent would be BitTorrent's relevant components. We're going to use the 5-component framework to analyze this, which includes hardware, software, data, procedures, and people. The first component we're going to cover is hardware. The hardware required for BitTorrent is all the basic components of a personal computer. Since it is a peer-to-peer network, the personal computers of each peer are what power it. The primary components of personal computers are a hard drive, RAM or random access memory, a motherboard, graphics card, power supply, and a CPU or a central processing unit. There are also a few peripheral components that are required to include a monitor, mouse, and keyboard. There used to be a tracker server, which is now obsolete, which essentially controlled and saw who was downloading what from what peer. The components of the tracker server are equivalent to the peer computers with a few exceptions. The primary component difference is that there is no graphics card, as it doesn't have to generate graphics to perform its function. However, it generally has a much faster or multiple central processing units and increased RAM capacity. There are no required peripheral components because this is usually accessed from another computer that has those peripheral components. The last set of hardware would be internet access. And this is unique to each user, but generally speaking, you're going to need Ethernet or network cables, a modem, and a router so that you can access the internet to share files. The second component is software. The software needed to run BitTorrent would be BitTorrent's client, which is open source and is free to download and use. It also includes the software needed to create a .torrent file so that the file can be shared using the BitTorrent client. You'll also need an operating system, which is required on the peer computers as discussed earlier. And then now, the trackerless distributed sloppy hash table, or DHT, is a software that replaced the aforementioned tracker server. This is now embedded in the BitTorrent program and eliminates the need for the tracker server, as just stated. What it does is it converts BitTorrent from a hybrid peer-to-peer to a pure peer-to-peer, since there is no centralized server tracking the downloads and uploads. The third component is data. To use BitTorrent, you would need to create a .torrent file. This software can be found within the BitTorrent client. What a .torrent file is or does is it breaks a file down into smaller chunks, usually between 512 kilobytes to 256 kilobits. This conversion also creates the tracker data, which helps organize which chunks have been downloaded. And each computer with the same .torrent file downloaded creates what's called the swarm. And a swarm is the database that's formed through the network of peers that share this file. The download process for the data is a little unique with BitTorrent, and the way it works is it downloads small chunks of these files from each individual peer that also has the entire original file. And what this does is it allows the use of a user's maximum download speeds without the limit of the uploading server or computer that holds the file, because multiple pieces are being downloaded from multiple users at once. The fourth component is procedures in the 5-component framework. BitTorrent uses a few algorithms to organize the download process. The first is strict policy. What this means is that once a piece of the file is requested, all of the data and small subpieces that make that piece up must be requested and found before the program will request the next piece. The next would be rarest first. And what this does is it selects the piece that is owned by the fewest peers. And this does a few things. What it does is it ensures that the seed of the file is spread so that there are less rare pieces overall. And it improves the likelihood of a complete download so that if the person who may have this rare piece leaves the swarm, then at least the rest of the file can be downloaded once that rare piece is downloaded. The third would be random first piece, and this is used to get a piece downloaded as fast as possible so that that user can now begin uploading to others. However, it does switch back to rarest first once the random first piece is complete. And the last one would be endgame mode, and this is that BitTorrent software will be constantly searching for the fastest peer so that the download speed is optimal and as fast as possible. The last component of the 5-component framework is people. In this case, people are actually pretty limitedly involved. A person is needed to create the .torrent files to share. They also need to select which .torrent files they like to download. And really the only other responsibility of people for BitTorrent is that they need to remain a user and keep their .torrent files accessible by other members of the swarm, or I should say members who'd like to download the file and become part of the swarm. And what this does is it just helps ensure that as many possible versions of the file are available to download, one for speed, but also two, to make sure that the file can be downloaded in a complete form.
Now let's talk about one of the largest benefits of a peer-to-peer service, and that is its relevant cost. It is much more cost effective for the provider than a normal client-server network. The reason for this is that a peer-to-peer service does not require the additional hardware that a client-server network does. Now let's talk about BitTorrent's price to its users. BitTorrent offers 4 different pricing options. The first is its free option, which allows you to upload and download files to the network. The second is its ad-free option, which allows you to do the same as the free option, but this time removes the ads. The third option is its Pro option, which allows you to watch torrents without waiting, convert and play HD files on the go, and also protect PC from virus and malware. And the last option that they offer is Pro Plus VPN. The VPN allows you anonymous online capabilities to upload and download your content.
The benefits of BitTorrent is faster than other servers. It helps prevent against corruption, and it makes it easier to distribute files to larger groups of people. BitTorrent is faster than other servers. The more users, the faster it is. Since everyone on the server is downloading and uploading the same file, it does not put a lot of pressure on a central server, so it splits the time between the people. The people using the server will never get a timeout screen. It also stops high traffic congestion on busy servers. BitTorrent helps against corruption. Unlike a central server or a traditional peer-to-peer, the bits of information being downloaded or uploaded have to be exactly like the original file. If information in the torrent, also known as the text file or the magnet link, does not match, the bits will be replaced because it is considered corrupt. The bits being replaced will directly come from the original file. BitTorrent allows its users to distribute files to larger groups of people. When downloading a file, everyone on the server gets little bits of the original file until it is completely downloaded on everyone's computer, allowing for faster downloading speeds to everyone without the server being overloaded.
There are some associated risks when using BitTorrent. These risks include cyber attacks and hacking, malware and viruses, bandwidth throttling and or monitoring, and legal risk. Users' IP addresses are visible to anyone they retrieve files from on BitTorrent. With the user's IP address, hackers can gain control over information even if protective measures have been taken, like virus protection software. A virtual private network, or VPN for short, scrambles a user's IP address, and hackers cannot target the user specifically because the IP they receive is inconsistent with the user's actual IP address. When downloading files online, and on BitTorrent specifically, one should be wary what they choose to download. The origin of most files is unknown, and those files shared publicly worldwide are more likely to contain viruses. The best way to protect against viruses is to keep virus protection software up to date. ISP stands for Internet Service Provider. ISP throttling occurs when internet and download speeds are slow due to clients operating on the same TCP and UDP ports. TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, enables two hosts to establish a connection and exchange data. UDP, User Datagram Protocol, uses connectionless communication for applications to communicate. ISP monitoring can be tracked by internet service providers for up to 2 years. They can see every file download, even in the torrent system. The use of a VPN here also reduces these risks because it scrambles the IP address and makes it harder to track you. BitTorrent itself is 100% legal, but some users misuse the file sharing software. Some files may be copyrighted by another user, and downloading or posting the content is illegal. Some examples here are piracy, or posting songs on the internet and downloading them for free. BitTorrent endorses and encourages property rights, but their platform is so large that it's difficult for them to regulate all files. The best way to avoid this risk is just to make sure that whatever you're downloading is legal and has no sort of copyright on it.
BitTorrent future trends. It appears that the use of this peer-to-peer file sharing software is on the quick decline. Between 2006 and 2008, BitTorrent was wildly popular, but has been losing users ever since. Reasons why BitTorrent has been losing users and popularity. There are now better alternatives that are actually legit. BitTorrent was used by many to download movies, videos, and music, but today people have better options such as Netflix, YouTube, iTunes, etc. These services aren't always free, but the costs are minimal and the applications are easy to navigate, eliminating confusion and stress. Many users switched from BitTorrent to private streaming services. The reason they did this was because BitTorrent did not have the best convenience or security. Those using BitTorrent were often vulnerable to viruses, so it is understandable why people wanted to get away from BitTorrent. BitTorrent is often used to download pirated movies, shows, music, etc., and the enforcement on this piracy has been getting stricter and stricter over the years. With the constant advancement in technology, it is easier and takes less time for those enforcing piracy laws to track where the pirating is coming from. Perhaps that is factored into why a lot of people now pay for legit streaming websites such as Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube. There is so much more access now to content than there was in the past. Netflix and those type of streaming services are relatively new when you think about it. 10 years ago, those services were not around, which is why BitTorrent was more popular. Back then, your only options to see a new movie were to go to the theater in person or pirate it from the internet using BitTorrent to download it. Now all the new movies are available at the click of a button and with ease. So what will happen next? There will always be peer-to-peer piracy and sharing on the internet, just not as much as there used to be. The heyday for BitTorrent has passed, and it does not look like it will ever be returning, although BitTorrent will likely remain a usable software for years to come. BitTorrent is no longer the most dominating software on the internet. Legitimate streaming sites have now taken over and will continue to dominate the market.